what is keeping me in Canada? Why am I still here?
The uncertainty causes me to hesitate because I don't know enough of the answers for the certainty of my family.
Alberta has opportunity here to really do something. There's a possibility that Alberta could save Western civilization. If you get enough of those people in this province understanding that, then you got a possibility.
All Canadian families, we are on the Titanic. The iceberg hasn't hit yet, so we're not sinking. If we don't shift course, that iceberg is coming for us.
I'm not planning on leaving. I'm fighting. We want to make this country incredibly great.
We begin to see that it really isn't about diversity. It is about punishing the people who perform beyond the mean.
For people who don't care, where do you see Canada going?
Oh, it's catastrophic. It is that bad.
What is the carbon tax doing to lower carbon emissions?
Exactly. I love this country. I was born in this country. I believe in what this country stands for. I believe in its people. I believe as a place opportunity for all to come and live, but the path that we're on is not working. And we are not going to be what we're supposed to be if we continue along this path.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Citizen, everyone. Great to have you guys wherever you are watching. We want to get into a couple interesting topics, specifically on Alberta and Canada today, and specifically, what is the legal precedent for Alberta if it wants to find its own independence outside of Canada, as that question continually is being explored by different parties here in Alberta. Jeremy, what's going on?
I'm excited about exploring that question too.
Good. Well, we want some answers.
I was gonna say, like,
on
I want to try to give answers to the people, like to the working class man or woman that are just trying to get by. That's the questions I want to answer.
And those steeped, to steal the words of Bruce Pardy, steeped in the managerial state mindset.
Yeah.
Do we even need permission? Does Alberta even need permission from Ottawa? Jeremy and I are not experts on this topic.
Nope.
But we can ask good questions. But we brought on an expert who knows his way around this a little bit.
An expert at answering those questions.
That's right. Professor Bruce Pardy, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.
How are you?
Great.
Bruce, so people can get to know you outside of all the things that you contribute to not just Alberta and what it's going through, but constitutionally, obviously your years and working through universities and being a professor and teaching and the mind and the thoughts that you bring. What do you do for fun? What is Bruce Pardy doing when he's got a couple hours or a couple days and it's like, man, what's Bruce going to do? What are you going to do?
I've got another question too after you answer.
Okay.
What is fun to
Well,
you?
listen, I like to run.
Okay.
I've had some injury trouble in the past few years, actually, and those troubles have caused me. And this is a while back now, but I ran for years and years.
Yeah.
But I was having injury trouble. I had an Achilles tendon problem that, at one point, I had to make a decision to stop, stop, or I decided instead to go to barefoot shoes.
Oh yeah.
And try to rebuild the way I ran from scratch, because the way I was doing it was not working, and I was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly. I'm not a physiotherapist or a doctor, but I think I adapted to a minor injury or injuries in the past and sort of ran around the injury, and then got into bad habits, and my muscles learned the wrong things, and to try and get your body to unlearn things is a very difficult thing to do.
What an excellent analogy to jump into this conversation. Unlearning. The question I was going to ask you is law. What made you go down the road of being a professor of law?
Yeah, that's a good question too. It wasn't because I really wanted to be a lawyer necessarily. At a certain point, I didn't really enjoy my undergrad. I thought it was a series of these different disciplines and listening to these other professors, all of whom seemed to want to tell us, all the students, what the story was and impose their framework on the world. And I thought, well, that's just a framework. And I thought, I want to go to law school to find out what the bottom line is. Like, what's the actual law? And if I know that, then everything else is an opinion. And I also want to know what the rules are. I want to know what the limits are for people to impose upon me. Mm-hmm. And I found over time that the answers to both those questions are, well, there isn't anything that's not an opinion. And there are no such rules that prevent the government from imposing upon you.
Wow.
That's one of the ugly truths about the law.
How far in did you realize that?
It was a very gradual thing. I remember sitting in a first year class. I think it was my torts class, listening to the professor talk. This must have been just a couple of months in, thinking, you can't be serious. They don't really do it this way. And I was reacting to the uncertainty of it. It was like, I thought I was going in to learn a set of rules. That's not what it is at all. Mm-hmm. It's how to read and think and argue about what the meaning of things is. It's a language, and it's far more up for grabs than people believe.
Wow,
interesting. We are on a bit of a time crunch this episode.
Okay,
so I want to get right to it.
All right.
Does Alberta need permission from Ottawa to find its own independence?
Permission, no, but it doesn't have a unilateral right either. And that sounds like a mushy middle, and it is. So here's the story. The Supreme Court of Canada came to a decision in 1998 about Quebec. It was a reference case.
That's right.
And in that case, the court said that if a province holds a referendum on a clear question about separation, and a clear majority of the people in the province support it, then that province has a mandate to enter into negotiations to leave. It doesn't give the province unilateral right to leave on its own terms, but it has the mandate to enter into a political negotiation. And the federal government and the rest of Canada has a mandate to negotiate with them for that result. Neither side has a unilateral right to either leave or to prevent leaving.
Okay.
Now that's problematic, because the other thing, the one thing that the court emphasized is that this is a political negotiation. And they basically said, once you get to that stage, we're out. So the courts are not going to impose a result on these negotiations. And so now you're into political wilderness. And a lot of people want to know, like, okay, so you pass a referendum, what happens then? You negotiate. Well, but what happens in the negotiation? And the answer is, nobody knows.
No one knows.
This has never been done in Canada. So is you're entering into the undiscovered country, to the future that you cannot tell. And this uncertainty is just part of the landscape here, and people are just going to have to be brave and take one step at a time, and we'll figure it out as we go.
What's a realistic time period if those certain things happen, meaning you have a clear majority of people within the province that want to?
You mean once you have the referendum win?
Because the translation of the 1998 ruling essentially is you can't just walk away without talking with the rest of the country. Right. So that talking, that negotiating of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's slow and arduous, I would guess.
Well, again, we don't know.
We don't know
because we've never had one. I mean, Quebec came close with its referendum, but it didn't cross the threshold. So that kind of negotiation has never been done in this country. So, I mean, you might be right. It might take forever. On the other hand, it probably depends upon the approach taken by the two sides. Who knows? So
I'm asking uncharted territory questions now.
Yes. Yeah.
Who leads it? Does that mean Danielle Smith, who's premier, she has to lead the charge? Is it a new body that rises up? Is it a populist leader that has been rallying the troops at the ground level? Like, how does, like, all these things, it just seems like these are all things that are going to be really tough to work through.
Yes.
Like we mentioned this earlier, there might be a death from within.
Sure.
Just to get up and running.
Yeah.
If that's something that Albertans as a clear majority actually want.
Right. So
isn't there yet.
But the answer is going to be the same. I mean, the most likely candidate is the person who's the premier at the time. That's most likely. But it's not written in stone anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. You would expected if Quebec had succeeded in the referendum that the premier of Quebec would have been the one to champion the cause. But that's slightly different because the Quebec premier was the champion of the cause. And so far, Danielle hasn't really gotten to the front of that parade.
Does the position of office that they hold, does it go against the position, like the loyalties to the position itself?
These are all political questions for Alberta to resolve at the time, right? So if the premier, whoever it happens to be, is seen to be legitimate in that role, then that's what will happen. And if not, if there's some kind of political earthquake inside Alberta, then who knows? But we can't nail these things down.
Any chance Ottawa could refuse to negotiate?
I got this question at a rally that I did in May in Red Deer. Mm-hmm. What happens? And the question was, imagine this. Alberta passes a referendum.
Yeah.
And it crosses the threshold. It's a clear question. It's a majority of people. And Ottawa just says, no, not talking to you. We're not doing this. No. What happens then? And the answer is, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
that's a common theme, I think.
My response would be, if I was the premier of Alberta in that situation, I would say, okay, so we asked to negotiate. Ottawa said no. We're gone.
You have a one-sided divorce.
That's right. We said, you won't talk to us. The Supreme Court said you should talk to us.
Yeah.
So we have the results. Yeah. So we're gone. Sorry, goodbye.
Well, at that point, the path is only as good as the paper it's written on when you actually have enough people that say, well.
And of course, that's also not practical because there's a lot of issues that need to be worked out, as rules and debts and people and borders and all kinds of stuff, right? So that's actually not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting hypothetical question.
It's just I'm trying to play, because Jeremy and I, have you ever stated, like, where do you stand on the whole Alberta thing? Have you ever thought about it, or you kind of just like, it is what it is, you'll take it as it goes? Or
no, I think I do have a strong opinion on it, but I when you go down these thought experiment ideas, I find myself arriving in a lot of the ideas that he's wrestling with, where it's like, do the freest market that we can achieve, the freest version of allowing me to do what I want to do in a safe way. I would love, like, even, remember when you and I went down the mineral rights?
Yeah.
So like this is a bit of a side trail here, but again, it just floored me on the control, was that when we looked into what Alberta's mineral rights are, is that if you find anything under your property, you only have, I think, the right to like 12 inches under any building you own. Anything under that is not yours. And I was like, what? I'm like, I own that. And then you go down that thought process and you go, no, you don't. You don't own anything. And if the state has use for it, they'll use it. And so I remember there's so many. So that's why I'm drawn to what you teach, is because you start to realize we're not living in that free of a country. And so I'm always to the side of more freedom, more ability to explore that and live in a freer place. So I like the idea of a lot of what we're wrestling with here, and I don't think it's a fair deal. And I think that I like that it's being discussed and talked about. Like we've said on a previous podcast with Bruce, this is the first time I see a lot of people who proud to talk and wrestle with the concepts of what it means to be Canadian and go down these roads. We're so soft generally, and I like what these conversations bring. So,
as a resident of Ontario, what do you want to see happen for Alberta?
Oh, I want to see Alberta leave for its own sake, and frankly, for the sake of the country. I think that Alberta could be the force that fixes the country. And I don't think I mean that in the sense of its current formation.
Sure.
Here's one of the many possibilities. Let's say that Alberta passed a referendum and it reached the thresholds and it announced its intention to leave. People are sometimes thinking, well, okay, so Alberta and Canada, Alberta is going to leave. There's going to be this hole, and then the rest of the country is going to just carry on without it. Okay, well, I don't think that's a likely scenario. Once Alberta is on this path, I would like to see and think it's a good possibility that there will be a cascade effect, a domino effect. So Alberta's going, well, if you're in Saskatchewan, it's like, well, no, take us with you. We're going too. Like, let's be a country together. And people in other parts of the country thinking, oh, well, yeah, our country is now kind of screwed. And after all, Alberta and Saskatchewan is a source of a lot of the wealth that keeps the rest of the country going. Maybe Canada's not viable without Alberta and Saskatchewan. Maybe Newfoundland will revisit its decision to join Canada instead of the U.S. In other words, now things are in flux. This country needs disrupting, political disruption. That's the only way to get the country to look at its really deeply embedded problems. And Alberta, to my mind, is the best possibility for that kind of disruption. Whether it leads to eventual actual independence, I mean, I hope so. I hope so. But even if it doesn't, the route to there causes disruption. And as an Ontarian, the country needs to be disrupted.
And I know I kind of dodged your question, but to answer more clearly, is the uncertainty causes me to hesitate because I don't know enough of the answers for the certainty of my family. I think that's where I find myself searching for the questions. Where the country's going, I'm unhappy with. Every time we seem to make something happen, it's disappointing and I'm unhappy, and the spending. And so that's why I like where this is going.
Well, I've been asking myself, and I'm going to ask you this question in a second.
Okay.
But I've been asking myself the question, what is keeping me in Canada? Mm-hmm. Why am I still here? I know why my family's here. Both sides of my family immigrated, my great-grandparents and all that side. And for me, it comes down to, because I'm in the same position as you, I'm not happy with the direction that Canada's going. It makes me doubtful for my kids and my grandkids for having great opportunity. I love history. I've studied history. I study history. And you see how fast things can change with countries who get bad ideas and they move with them, and how much from one generation to the next it can shift massively.
Right.
It's a concern for me with the current direction that we're going. But for me, what's keeping me here as of now is I still have a hope, and maybe it's a naive hope, that Canada can become a place where prosperity, we start moving the other direction. Maybe we start to move away from a managerial idea, but maybe talking with you, I feel like I'm more and more naive on that. And so when it comes to Alberta, I haven't really declared what I absolutely want, because I kind of don't know, but I'm kind of accepting of whatever happens. But it's kind of a bunch of word salad there for kind of saying I don't know. But what's keeping me here is our family. Like, we have a large family. And our faith for what we're involved with in terms of different things that we do. That's root. So if I didn't have that, I think I'd very much be like,
let me throw this in. Let's rewind 5 years ago. Do you remember COVID, the thick of COVID? We were very seriously considering moving to Texas. No question. It wasn't just towing it around. I was actually trying to figure out the processes of doing that, because I was so scared. I'm not trying to be flagrant here. I was scared of the road we were going down and what that meant for freedoms and family, and where we were going. It was wild. I think I've shared this with you, Bruce. In the thick of it, I was in Manitoba, and they had it was in the thick of it. So everyone was like nuts. And so it's in December. I go to buy a birthday card for my wife, and I'm at Shoppers Drug Mart in Winnipeg. I buy the birthday card, but they had made seasonal stuff allowed and non-seasonal stuff not allowed. So they literally had caution tape across stuff.
Right.
And so I had to
plastic wrap. I had to move it.
I don't know if it was. I guess Ontario was pretty similar. I think.
Yeah.
I had to move the caution tape, grab a birthday card for my wife, and I get to the counter.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Excuse me, sir. This is banned right now. You cannot buy
Meanwhile,
this."
you could buy a card that's
and so that's exactly what I said to her. I'm like, "You're telling me the ink on this card that it says Merry Christmas is allowed and Happy Birthday is not. I'm sorry, it's just the rules." And that right there was a moment where I was like, where the heck am I living? And I said that to her face. I'm like, is this communist China? And I threw the card down and said, you've lost my business until all this changes. And I walked out. But that is what I'm talking about. That is when I was loyalty was leaving Canada in my pressed family. That was a scary time.
Right.
And we've talked about loyalty a lot. I don't know if I per se have loyalty to Canada. I have loyalty to my family, my kids. Sorry, I should say it this way.
And that goes for everybody.
There are different degrees of loyalty we all have. And if you go expand upon it, if my country, which I am loyal to Canada, I need to correct my statement, but if Canada now thwarts my ability to raise a family effectively and give my kids the best, my loyalty to Canada is done because my loyalty to my family is much greater than that.
And I hope every man's response is that.
And there's a series of things. So I think that's an interesting thing every Canadian Alberta also needs to analyze too, is where do your loyalties lie? But so what's keeping you in Canada?
And we only have 6 minutes left.
Yes. Yeah, great conversation for the hard stop we have to do on this episode.
This is good.
See, for me, this is a moment. It's a really interesting moment in the history of this country. Potentially. I mean, it might come to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might not.
Yeah.
And I've been saying to people that if you take the big picture on this, Alberta has opportunity here to really do something. I mean, Alberta could be the new America. And I don't mean by that it will necessarily join America. Yeah. I mean, it can be the 21st century America in the sense that Alberta today is in like somewhat similar circumstances as the Americans were in before the Revolution. You know, they're being taken advantage of by a faraway power, being disregarded, you know, having money taken for other people elsewhere, having their concerns ignored, and so on. And there's a possibility that Alberta could not just save itself, not just disrupt the country. I mean, Alberta could save Western civilization. Alberta could become the new America in the sense that they could put together a new country that was as free as anywhere on the planet and could rediscover what Western civilization was supposed to be about. Most of the Western countries around that we know about are going down the same kind of track. I mean, Canada is as bad as any place, and probably worse, but even the States is having its problems, right? They have a managerial state like we do. We all know what's going on in Europe. I mean, that's not looking very good, right? And so, you know, where else is going to find the way through this except Alberta? I mean, in Alberta, you at least have people who understand that, as you just said, that things are not right. We're going down a bad path. If you get enough of those people in this province understanding that, then you got a possibility. Yeah. Right?
See, what you just did there,
yes.
This would be my advice for people who are leading this
Clip
charge.
That and repeat that.
is you let off with vision of what Alberta could be.
Yeah.
And that's the way that you're going to get people, if you want this to succeed, if you're going to get people to move across the line of, I hate change, I'm scared of the unknown, the new frontier. You have to paint such a vision of what it can be and stop focusing on just what the problems are, because the problems are overwhelming.
Yes.
You have to lead with that.
You just fired me up about the whole idea.
You did,
like, seriously.
At the beginning. What's your response to critics who say that this is just Western victimhood dressed up maybe in like legal theory?
Wow, that's a loaded sentence.
Well, that sounds defensive to me. And so let's put it this way. Who cares if Alberta's grievances are legitimate or not? If you're a person living in Eastern Canada,
like Jan Arden.
So if you're Jan Arden,
sure,
and Alberta wants to go, then what business is it of yours whether or not the grievances are legitimate? I mean, aren't they a province? The people in the province, there's a process, or at least a little bit of one. Mm-hmm. If the people of Alberta don't want to be in Canada, then what do you care? Why would you be angry about that?
Why would you want to force that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't have much time for that kind of reaction. I think that response, though, is not uncommon.
Yeah.
In other parts of the country.
What was interesting, we were in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and we just missed each other whenever we were texting you.
Yes.
And we were having dinner with big company executive in our business from Toronto. I got the impression, totally unaware of the realism of Alberta wanting, the sentiment of there's a lot of Albertans wanting to have their independence, not happy with the current state. Like almost just a bit of they're oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Like, is that really a thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
And I would assume it's probably representation of what maybe Eastern Canada actually is aware of, or is,
I think that's
thoughts
fair.
on that?
I think that's fair. I mean, it's not really on the radar as one of the problems that we should be focusing on right now in the country. I just don't think you'd find very much buy-in to that question.
Yeah. Well, we got about 1:40 left. How do we ask a question that's not going to take us 25 minutes? Do you think this is really about leaving Canada or fixing the existing system that we have?
I think it has to be about leaving Canada. Here's the way I've been saying this about negotiations. Here's the way to figure out whether or not you're winning or losing this negotiation. If you try to negotiate before your referendum, as in, you go cap in hand to the federal government, here's what we need to see, please will you build us a pipeline? Can we have that? Can you change this policy? If you are going to them, you are losing.
Yeah.
And if they are coming to you, then you are winning. If they're coming to you and saying, please don't go, how about this? Or how about that? What would make it better enough for you to be happy to be in this country with us? That's not happening. And it won't happen until and unless the idea is to leave. I don't agree with this idea of trying to fix the problems, because that means you're not serious about leaving.
Yeah.
You only get their attention if you are on the way out the door.
Actually leaving.
Right? It's just the same thing as, legal actions don't settle usually until you get to the courtroom steps. You're about to go into the courtroom and fight.
Yeah.
It's at the last minute. So you got to be going out the door before you'll get any serious attention from the other party.
Last words, Bruce Pardy. We are done. You ended on 0 seconds. Thanks for joining us. Let us know what you guys think and say. This one was a jam-packed one. We're going to keep doing this at more and more. But write in the comments. Any last words?
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
pleasure.
Bruce, for joining us.
Show goes on.
Show goes on. See you next time.